Alright, we sent out a video last night of some stocks that we would be watching today. As often happens, we end up finding stuff on an intraday basis to trade, and a lot of the stocks that are on our original watch list end up being untraded, if you will. Matter of fact, I think the only one that we sent out that was traded in chat was Hewlett-Packard as a potential bounce today, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I'm going to start with my best call of the day, PAY, 15-minute candles, and here is, let's get an arrow going here. Here is the opening high right there. This morning, that's the opening 15-minute candle, and then it went into a base. Pay, pretty beaten up, but as I pointed out on the daily chart, it's been doing a pretty good job holding this 28 area, and so a nice tight base. I said if this breaks the early high, 28.01, this could give a nice trade, and I went ahead and switched to 15-minute candles to show where the stop would go and my school of thought on this. Okay, so here's the trigger candle, and this is what I told everybody. I gave my school of thought is when I'm buying a stock that's a high of day break, which I don't like to do, but pays beaten up. I'll pan out a little bit here. You can see it's been holding this 27.50, 28 area pretty well. And so I thought if it broke the high of the day, it might get going today. Okay, since it's not going lower, the next obvious move would be higher. Okay, so 28.01 was my idea. Now the school of thought, when I do this, I switch to 15-minute candles, which I have here. And there's two ways to do this that I have come up with to make your stop not random, but to try to, you always have to have a stop in place. So one is below the trigger candle itself, which would have been 27.85, and a little bit more wiggle room type of a stop would be go to the previous 15-minute candle and your stop goes below it, 27.75. The reason I point out that I gave these two ideas for your stop, because we're all adults and we trade our own accounts, and everyone has different personalities too as far as how they trade. The reason I pointed out is because the first stop below the trigger candle itself, you can see stopped out right here. The more conservative, or I should say, I don't know if that's the right word, the one to give you a little more wiggle room at 27.75 never gets touched, and pay just rips into the close. And I got several thank yous for pay, so I know some people took that stop. If anyone took the tighter stop, they got stopped out. Of course, I always had the opportunity to re-enter. But anyway, my entry idea on pay, 28.01, which was right here, and my my wider stop is a good way to put it, was 26 cents below and never got hit. Okay, so, and that's where some people took because, again, I had some people celebrating, and a beautiful close on pay went all the way to 29.60, so almost $1.60 on 26 cents risk. And here's the daily now. You can see a very nice bounce, and that might be multi-day. Let me go into Hewlett-Packard, since that's one that was that we sent out in the video last night. Big push down, all right, and I thought sometimes when you get this, the selling can be overdone, all right, and you might get a bounce the next day. Now, I didn't mess with it all morning. Some people took it down here on like what we call a 5-minute candle setup. I didn't mess with it until it looked like this, all right, and I'll zoom in. So now you have the early high right here, and now you've got, let me pan out a little bit more. That's what I wanted you to see right there. That's tight little base here. That didn't work. One of these days I'll learn how to use these drawing tools. This tight little base, okay, with the high of day still to the left. So there's the high. You break this base, get over this little base here, you're probably going to start hitting the new highs ticker. Okay, you're probably going to get through this and hit the new highs ticker. The thing I love, and this is what I told our members about HPQ, is it's extremely liquid. All right, I'll hover over this 5-minute candle right here. 621,000 shares in 5 minutes. This is not a stock that you have to worry about your size as far as getting whipped around. Okay, so you could take this with size. The stop was a dime below. My idea was over this base, I put out 1670, stop at 1660, thinking that 1670 will get us to why am I saying 16? 1470 will get us, and 1460 stop will get us to 1475, which will light up the new highs ticker, and they might start piling in a little bit, thinking HPQ is overdone to the downside. Plus, you get shorts that piled in this morning, probably put their stop at the high of the day, and so lo and behold, there's the base break, and we got a nice move almost to 15. Okay, again, that doesn't seem like much, but you could have had as many shares as you wanted. We only take them expecting to have your dime stop hit, so but you could have had a pretty sizable trade with HPQ as liquid as it was, and from 1470 to 1498 is a nice move if you had size, right? And ended up closing just sideways after that. But it was a nice little trade. Nothing huge, but a nice little trade. All right, Coinstar was another one. Coinstar, nice volume out of the box. I liked the daily that it was breaking out of this little base after getting killed. Okay, so I liked everything about it. And then this tight base here, even though I felt like I missed the early move, I said I like it over the high of day and a stop below this base. Okay, so the call was 46.55, which it hit right there, and the stop was, I think, 30 cents below. And ended up closing, getting to 47.21 at one point. Not a huge trade, but 66 cents in our favor at its best, but never, ever had us underwater. So it was one of those pay yourself along the way. Different type of trade here is BKS. Didn't even have this on watch, okay? Just sitting there and all of a sudden, boom, you get this massive volume. Our members are very good at posting volume spikes, and I try to do it too. It's very rare you'll see any stock do this without, in this first 5-minute candle, somebody posting BKS volume or whatever the symbol is in volume. And that was the case today. BKS did this pop. When it came back down, it was sitting at 1302. My idea was a long right there. Instead, I kind of said, throw out candles. One way you can trade this is just take a long. And remember, at the time I said this, it was 1302. And your stop, in case, see, the assumption here is that there was good news, okay? So you can assess it on the fly. You don't even have to look up the news. The assumption is that there's good news, and as soon as the news gets around, this is going to continue to rally. The danger is that this wasn't good news, and this was a knee-jerk, and people read it wrong, and it's going to roll right over. I've seen both happen many times. You probably have too. So the way we trade this is, or the way I called this one was a long at 1302. Your worst case stop has to go below this volume candle, okay, 1278. And look what happened. I mean, it ended up going pretty quickly to 1364. As you know from watching our videos, we're sellers into spikes like that. Once we're in something, we're not chasing it as buyers. So it's kind of a strange way to trade, but it's fun because out of nowhere you can get you can get a trade. BKS wasn't even on watch, so there's a nice little volume spike that paid us. You always, and I tell everybody this, you have to take the amount of shares that expecting your stop to get hit. So in other words, don't go in bigger than you can afford to have this hit the stop below that volume trigger candle. But anyway, kind of a strange trade because it wasn't based on a setup. It was just based on volume, and then you assess the risk reward, take your trade, place your stop, and it worked out well on BKS. Mosaic, one of our all-stars, Wayne, called it down here. I'll show you exactly what it looked like. Over this green candle, I believe the entry was 54.46, low of day stop, and it didn't tear it up, but it did get to 55.20, and again, you were never underwater. We had Mosaic on Bounce Watch. As a matter of fact, I think that was on our video that we sent out last night too. Mosaic down to the 200-day, and so there is another one. That one and Hewlett Packard are two that were on our list and we traded. Couple other things to point out. Actually, VRNG was on that list as well. Now, I didn't give an official trigger and stop on this one. Remember, it had that, if I pan out, it had that huge move yesterday. So it just lands on our watch list. Okay, and then this is what it looked like when I alerted the room just over the microphone in the morning. Keep in mind, these are 2-minute candles, so we're only, 10, 12 minutes into the session here. And I just made a comment. This was not an official call. I said, hey, VRNG sneaking up here, or heading up, or something along those lines. Again, I don't count that as an official call, and I didn't take it. But it just goes to show that sometimes commentary can help make somebody money, because lo and behold, shortly after that, rips through the high of the day and ends up going up significantly from there. As a matter of fact, one of our members got $1 on that trade. I can't say for sure if he took it on my mention or if he just grabbed it at the open. I don't know what he did, but he got $1 on a $5 stock on some of his shares, so that's pretty darn impressive. Also, another one that I mentioned this morning was ETP. Looked like this. I looked at the daily and said this is in a bounce area. This is a good candidate for a potential turn right here. Again, didn't give a trigger and stop, but that was the low of the day and got a very nice strong close. And I'll show you the daily. Again, it was selling off down to here. I looked at the daily and said, hey, this one bounces nicely off this 41 area. Again, another example of a comment from me. I didn't take the trade, but it was a nice one. I guarantee you I'm leaving some out here. Oh, I wanted to show one other thing. Netflix. If you watched my video yesterday, I talked about SRPT. I'm jumping around a little bit here. Talked about SRPT. If you saw the video, remember I said on a strong stock, sometimes you get one kiss of the 20 using 5-minute candles. Again, I use the exponential, and look at SRPT hit the 20, and that was the low of the afternoon. Now, back to Netflix. Look at this. Same thing. Extremely strong again. Actually, Netflix was on our watch list too. I did not spot this one in real time. I was doing something else. But when I saw it later, I said, you know what? I'll be darned. That's the same thing as SRPT yesterday. Crazy strong. You get the one touch of the 520, somewhere around 65.20, and it ends up going up from there. That was the low after the morning rally. Anyway, after I saw that after the fact, I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw that in the video because it's the exact same thing I said about SRPT yesterday. I guarantee I'm leaving some of the All-Stars calls from today out, but I've already babbled for almost 12 minutes. So have a good night. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.